stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming. We have a full agenda tonight, and we will just get started on it. The first thing, we have public hearings on 3 items. Dave, you want to take that over?
Okay, we can go ahead and go on the record.
Thank you.
And the first item on the agenda is application for rezoning. This hearing is called to order at 7:01 p.m. on this 26th day of March 2018 at Herman City Hall. And this hearing is conducted to consider the application filed by T&W Apartments LLC and Bart Tateman to rezone property at 406 West 18th Street from R2 two-family residential district to R3 multifamily residential. The city's Planning and Zoning Commission conducted a hearing regarding this application on Wednesday, March 14th, 2018 at 7 p.m. at Herman City Hall. Upon motion made, seconded, and passed, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to approve the applicant's application for rezoning. Notice of the hearing dates before the Planning and Zoning Commission and this board were provided and published in the Herman Advertiser-Courier newspaper. This hearing is on the record and a transcript is being prepared. The applicant will have an opportunity to present their case. If there are any documents that the applicant desires the board to rely on, they are invited to submit those as exhibits. If the applicant has any witnesses whom they desire to speak, this will be allowed. If the applicant is represented by an attorney who may wish to speak on their behalf, this also will be allowed. After the applicant has submitted their position, the board will ask for testimony from others present in the room. Mayor Kerber reserves the right to limit each speaker's time. At the conclusion of all testimony and comments, the board may deliberate and then vote on the issue. We have the following exhibits that have been presented by the city's zoning office. Exhibit 1 is the application to change zoning. Exhibit 2 is the affidavit of publication from the Herman Advertiser-Courier. Exhibit 3 is the published notice of public hearing. Exhibit 4 is the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes. And Exhibit 5 is the entire code of ordinances of the city of Herman. And Mayor Kerber, do you agree to accept these exhibits into the record?
I do.
All right, you may proceed.
Okay. Do you want to read it? What do you think? Do we have the Mr. Tateman and T&W Apartments present? Okay, can you step forward, please?
Sure.
Do you have, I think we'll let you present your cases. I don't know that this has gone through every different phase that we've got to look at these sort of things. And, I mean, I don't have any questions, but they're here to answer questions, and maybe that's the best way to start. Do the aldermen have any questions of these gentlemen? I believe you want to build an apartment there, and you needed this zoning for that purpose.
Right.
So can we please have names? Can you state their names
Yes.
please first?
Bart Tateman.
Can you spell that?
BARTTOEDTMANN.
Thank you.
David Whithouse, DAVID WITTHAUS.
Thank you.
I don't have any problems with it. I noticed that they said something in the planning and zoning minutes that said the parking was going to be addressed later. Have you figured that part out, or is that do you have actual drawings of the buildings, or?
No, basically, we bought that property on foreclosure, and that building on the back needs quite a bit of work. We haven't really got into it. May need to be torn down. We're not sure. But once we can get in there and see what that needs. We'll figure out how much room's in the front, and then we'll come to the city, to the building inspector, and he will be able to tell us, what size apartment, how many units, and with the parking and the extra space there. So we were going to rely on his expertise at that time.
Yeah, okay.
When do you plan on getting started?
Rehabbing the other building, probably 4 months, and the apartments in front of that would probably be a year or two.
Anyone else?
I think it's good.
Okay, well, they may not need to present your case. Do I have a motion to accept the zoning change?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Does this need to be, this is, we done? We need a motion to vote twice?
You seconded it.
No, well, excuse me, we'll have an ordinance to amend the zoning map at the next meeting.
Okay,
Thank you all.
so congratulations, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, so we can go off the record on that one. And back on the record for the next one. This hearing is called to order at 7:08 p.m. This 26th day of March 2018 at Herman City Hall. And this hearing is conducted to consider the application for a conditional use permit filed by the Tin Mill Restaurant, the applicant, for liquor sales for outdoor consumption in a C1 commercial zone more than 12 days per year. The application was reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission, who passed a motion recommending the Board of Aldermen approve the application. And the commission made its recommendation to this board less than 30 days prior to today. There have been at least 15 days notice of the time and place of this hearing published in the Herman Advertiser-Courier newspaper. After this hearing is concluded, the board shall provide its decision on the application within 15 days. The board may impose conditions upon the issuance of this permit per code section 420.730. The board may grant a conditional use permit for such a period of time as it finds to be in the public interest. This hearing is on the record and a transcript is being prepared. The applicants have the opportunity to present their case. If there are any documents they desire for the board to rely on, they may submit those. If they have any witnesses whom they desire to speak, this will be allowed. If the applicants have an attorney whom they desire to speak on their behalf, this also will be allowed. The board may ask any questions that it likes and ask for testimony from others present in the room. At the conclusion of the testimony and the comments, the board may deliberate and then vote on the issue. And we have some documents to mark as exhibits here. We have Exhibit 1, which is the Planning and Zoning Conditional Use Permit application, including the checklist for a conditional use permit attached. Exhibit 2 is the affidavit of publication from the Herman Advertiser-Courier. Exhibit 3 is the copy of the notice of public hearings. Exhibit 4 is the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes. And Exhibit 5 is the entire Code of Ordinances of the City of Herman. Mayor Kerber, do you agree to accept these exhibits into the record?
I do.
Then we may proceed.
Okay. Do we have any representatives of the Tin Mill Restaurant at 315 East First Street present? Okay, we do not. This is another, I think, fairly straightforward, but what do you think? Do the Alderman want to make comments on this or anything?
This is basically just would allow for an outdoor liquor sales out on their property. It doesn't stretch onto the sidewalk or anything, any kind of public property. It's all just on their property.
I think there's adequate room down there to have it, so that's not a problem.
And they already did it when they were open last year, as far as serving out there. I have no problem with it. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
We have motion made to approve and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
All right, we can go off the record. And, okay, next on the agenda, on the record, hearing called to order at 7:12 p.m. this 26th day of March 2018 at Herman City Hall. This hearing is conducted to consider the application for a conditional use permit filed by Fernway Distilling Company for liquor sales for outdoor consumption in a C1 commercial zone more than 12 days per year. Planning and zoning reviewed this application and made a motion to approve the application. And the commission made its recommendation less than 30 days ago. At least 15 days notice of the time and place of this hearing was published in the Herman Advertiser-Courier newspaper. After this hearing is concluded, the board shall provide its decision within 15 days. The board may impose conditions upon issuance of the permit per code section 420.730. The board may grant a conditional use permit for such a period of time as it finds to be in the public interest. There is a transcript being prepared for this hearing, and the hearing is on the record. The applicant will have the opportunity to present their case. If there are any documents the applicant desires the board to rely on, they're invited to submit those. If the applicant has any witnesses whom they desire to speak, this will be allowed. If the applicant is represented by an attorney whom they wish to speak on their behalf, this also will be allowed. After the applicant has submitted their position, the board may ask for testimony from others present in the room. The mayor reserves the right to limit each speaker's time. The board may then deliberate and vote on the issue. We have documents to mark as exhibits for this hearing. Exhibit 1 is the conditional use permit application. Exhibit 2 is the affidavit of publication from the Herman Advertiser-Courier. Exhibit 3 is the copy of the notice of public hearings published in the newspaper. Exhibit 4 is the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes. And Exhibit 5 is the Kentucky Municipal Code of the City of Herman, Missouri. Mayor Kerber, do you agree to accept these exhibits into the record?
I do.
And you may proceed.
Do we have any representatives of Fernway Distilling Company here? We do not. Okay, this is very similar to the other one and has been approved by Planning and Zoning. Do I have any discussion, or do we want to move right to make a motion?
I'd like to just point out some of the discussion in the minutes that so that we're all aware that it goes to just the patio seating that is on their property, does not extend into the George Johnson Park, which is city property, and they'll have to have special permits to use that property since it is city owned. And Frank Tennant, who's now in the Planning and Zoning, who is our former chief, said he would like to make sure that alcohol does not come off the property at any time in that area, so that they have to properly close that off when they're serving it. So
Yeah, last year they did that, they put a fence up.
yeah, I just want to make
It's
sure.
not in there, though.
Huh?
It's not in there now.
Well, they're not. This permit is strictly for, they had asked about George Johnson Park, and they were told they need a special permit to use that.
Okay.
But
They
this
weren't-
permit is
yeah.
just for the patio and the balcony, and the patio has a big iron fence all the way around it.
Okay.
And the patio was a corkscrew stairway coming down the balcony down to the patio, so
They have to apply through the park board in order to.
I'm sorry, they have to what?
They have to apply to the park board in order to get that approved, because that's, George Johnson is part of the city.
Yeah, he was at the Planning and Zoning meeting and wanted to get it all in as one, and so we had to say, well, no, it's city property, it doesn't extend to that, it just is on their own private property.
He understands that, and it's an agreement.
Okay, any more further discussion?
Make a motion to approve.
second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Okay,
That concludes the record then. Thanks, Lori.
okay, should we proceed? The next item is the mayor's report, and I'll get started on that. Election day is April 3rd, it's fast approaching. Voting is a privilege, and we should take advantage of our right to vote. The polls will be open at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The first ward will vote at the First Baptist Church, and the second ward will vote at the high school administration building. Rain or shine, it is very important that everyone make the time to vote on April 3rd. Last week, we held a Utility Advisory Board meeting and the electric rate structure was discussed again. The exact structure has not been decided on, but it will include a meter fee reduction, probable elimination of small business demand charges, and a tiered rate that will have the effect of a seasonal structure, being cheaper in the high usage months, such as winter. Now, this has to be approved by the Utility Advisory Board and then come before the Board of Aldermen. So all the things that I just said here are subject to change. We've been working on this for quite some time, and I believe that those basics have been decided on. Moving on, remember that this has been an unusually long and cold heating season. To protect yourself from these highs and lows, you can opt for level billing. Each June, the collector's office offers this feature, and it's a very worthwhile tool, especially if you have problems in the real cold winter months. You may want to consider this. You can switch in June. Please don't forget. The city teams up with Tri-County Trucking to offer a free trash pickup day twice a year. May 5th and November 3rd will be the pickup dates for 2018. May 5th is coming up. Don't miss it. Get your junk ready. Recent utility financial reports show that through the first 8 months of fiscal year 2017-18, all of our utilities are operating in the black at the same time. We're sure they will end up that way. We're so far into the year. It's the first time that we've been able to discover, and that I certainly can find, that that's happened. So it's been a long time if we've ever been able to do that. No utility is losing money and draining anything else. They're all positive. That's a great thing, and we should thank all the utility managers and Mark and everybody else, because it's not easy. On another positive note, recent reports show that the past 2 calendar years have shown the highest sales tax collections in Herman's history and the highest tourism tax collections since the tax was initiated. Now that's important because the sales tax generates money that we can use in our general fund for other things. We can use it for roads, for instance. So we have our regular streets budget, and then we will have some extra money from this sales tax collection. So for next year, that's a very good thing, and we hope that trend continues on. That's what I have for the mayor's report. Mark, do you have an administrator?
Yeah, we got a little bit. I'll be in Owensville on Wednesday for an MRPC event on Wednesday morning. Thursday, the city will be hosting a reasonable suspicion class for supervisors. This training is to help in detecting signs of substance abuse. The Peering Company is done with the repairs in the community center, cleaning it now, getting it ready to be rented again. City staff will be developing, I hope it's not too late, a comprehensive flood plan with the help of MoDOT and emergency responders. We scheduled a meeting on April 4th. All public works departments in this rain are working on maintenance items and things they work on inside, and we are monitoring area creeks and road ditches constantly with this rain. That's it.
I have one last minute item that I forgot, and Mark, you can help me with this. We put in for a demo grant and another grant. What was the other one called?
The FEMA
grant.
Yeah.
And the 2 grants together allowed us to knock down buildings and eyesore buildings and dangerous buildings and so forth. While the FEMA grant is still a possibility, the demo grant, we've had 2 of the major players change their minds. So that grant doesn't have enough critical mass to it to meet the criteria to move forward. So it looks like, unless something happens in the next immediacy, that grant will not be available to us for this year, but we still have the FEMA buyout, so we're still working on that. And I had mentioned this previously, so I wanted to clear that up. Did I miss anything on that?
No, that's good.
Okay, we have some ordinances.
The first is ordinance number 2018-09. It would be an ordinance authorizing reclassification of designated land and amendment of the zoning district map for applications made by Kevin Sanderlin, Ronald Weber, and Donna Austin, and it's on for second reading.
Okay, do we have any discussion up here, or anything? This is the second reading, so we've had one bite at the apple.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next is Bill number 2018-11 on for first reading, an ordinance to amend Herman Municipal Code Section 420.010 to include definitions for microbrewery and microdistillery, and to amend Code Section 420.130 to allow microbreweries and microdistilleries as permitted uses.
Is there
Any discussion?
I was just curious because it's been a while since we discussed this at the planning and zoning level. Dave, was there anything that had changed since between when we just talked about it at planning and zoning and now?
Nope.
Anything else?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion made to approve and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Can we read that again?
Sure. Bill number 2018-11 for second reading, an ordinance to amend Herman Municipal Code Section 420.010 to include definitions for microbrewery and microdistillery, and to amend Code Section 420.130 to allow microbreweries and microdistilleries as permitted uses.
I move it, second it.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
Next is Bill number 2018-12 for first reading, an ordinance authorizing reclassification of designated land and amendment of the zoning district map for Lot 27 of the Herman Industrial Park, to change it from U1 unclassified to I2 industrial.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Can we read that again?
Yes. Bill number 2018-12, an ordinance authorizing reclassification of designated land and amendment of the zoning district map for Lot 27 of the Herman Industrial Park.
Any motion?
I make a motion to be second read.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Next is Bill number 2018-13. It would be an ordinance to authorize the execution of a quitclaim deed to convey the property containing the city's closed lagoons to the Deerberg Educational Foundation, Inc. And years ago, the city entered into an annexation agreement with Mr. Deerberg and the Deerberg Operating Foundation, Inc. and the Educational Foundation, Inc. And in that agreement, Mr. Deerberg agreed that what is now the Living History Farm essentially could come into the city limits. He would not oppose the annexation, and in exchange for that, the city promised various things, including to use its best efforts to get rid of the lagoons. And if the city ever did get rid of the lagoons, or if the lagoons were not needed anymore, the city would transfer title of that lagoon property to him. So that's why we're doing this.
Okay.
Now, when we're done with this,
Pardon?
when we do this, if we do this, I don't have to hear about these lagoons ever again. It'll finally be over with.
They won't be our lagoons.
Yeah, but this has been going on since the first day I took this seat. I mean, I just would like to get it
They'll
over.
be resort lakes, not lagoons.
Yeah.
Quite.
Okay, do we have any other comments? We've been talking about this one for a long time.
We finalized the deal in that Colmeyer contract a long time ago too, right? That isn't hanging out there for the city, right? Where all the utility
The
hookups that
extension
were.
of water lines.
Yeah, all that stuff is all cleaned up, right?
Yeah, there still is a clause in there for the city to continue to use best efforts to get rid of the overhead high voltage lines and if that ever happens,
We're
but
doing that.
otherwise, yeah, that agreement is just about complete.
Okay.
I will move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. I'll have to do that again.
All right, bill number 2018-13 for second reading. An ordinance to authorize the execution of a quitclaim deed to convey the property containing the city's closed lagoons to the Deerberg Educational Foundation, Inc.
Okay, now, did we read 13 twice? No, okay, yeah.
That's what
you just-
we're reading.
That's
Yeah.
very good, okay, sorry. Okay,
I'll make a motion to be second read.
Second.
the motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. I'd like to say something, Dave, before we get to the resolution. The reason we read some of these things twice is because there's some type of time contingency that we need to get done, or it's a request of, at the request of whoever it is that we're dealing with. So that's why we did all those, and that's normal. That's done as a general rule in most small cities, so that's why that happened. Okay, resolution, do you want to read it? Okay.
The resolution on your agenda is resolution number 1250. A resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of an equipment lease purchase agreement with Alltech Capital Services LLC and determining other matters in connection therewith. This is the resolution form that they provided to us that they asked us to use, which is fine. And then the equipment lease purchase agreement is attached.
You've reviewed these and they look like they're in order?
Yes.
So we are,
For a bucket truck,
we're about,
by the way. Yeah.
any questions that the alderman might have?
We talked to Jesse about the lease the other night at the Utah Advisory Board meeting. He made a very clear and concise reasoning by wanting to do it this way. It made a lot of sense. I think we'll have to proceed with it.
Are we getting rid of the other bucket truck?
Well, there's actually one the street uses that needs to go as unsafe. So the one that they have now will be used by the street for Christmas lights and other things, I think.
Does it have a value?
Yeah. I don't know
So you
what
want to
it
get
is.
rid of that, where, replace it with this one?
Mhm.
Okay. If it's dangerous, I think,
Well, it's
We are
not
right.
dangerous unless you're working around electric.
and that's
Yeah,
what
it's
it's
dangerous,
for.
yeah.
Having a bucket they're in move suddenly when they're not expecting it working around
And that's
electric
not
wires
good.
is not a good idea. I will move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made to approve and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, is there any unfinished business?
Can I maybe just confirm with these folks here and announce about the next Board of Aldermen, the second Board of Aldermen meeting in April? Is that still correct? We're going to move it to April 30th?
Yes, I will not be here on the.
And neither will us.
Okay,
Regular
so
schedule.
just going to announce that for everyone. In April, the second meeting will be April 30th rather than the 23rd.
Is there any unfinished business? No. Okay, new business, a discussion of transportation business regulations is something that we've discussed off and on. I know Bruce has discussed his interest in it at the last meeting, and everybody knows about it. I'm only going to say that Dave's working on it. He's not prepared to actually hand anything out today. We do, it's pretty complex. It will reach its arms around all the transportation in the city as well as safety issues, ordinance issues and so forth. But the rest of that, we're going to table this until the next meeting. So I'm tabling item 7 and moving on to motions.
I had one thing under new business, I think, and,
I'm sorry.
well, that's okay, I don't know if it's new business or bad business, I don't know. Anyway, but tonight's my last full meeting, and I just wanted to take a moment to tell the city that it's been quite an honor to serve for the last 4 years, especially Ward 1. And so I wanted to thank them for that opportunity, and I wanted to thank the mayor, Dave, the alderman, on all the encouragement and support, and I don't think I could have made it without. And of course, the main people to thank, Mark and Trish, and the rest of the city employees, because, you know, that's the bloodline of the city, and I really appreciate working with all of those people. So
Thanks.
anyway,
Thank you. Okay, after that, it's kind of hard to follow that one. We appreciate your service and your timeliness and your ability to look through things. I always looked over there and I could see that we could expect something from you that was sometimes a little different, but it was something we needed to hear. So I really appreciate that.
also one other is I want to make sure I thanked all of the volunteers on the commissions and the committees, that they're a strong part, and I encourage people to continue to volunteer and help the city. So
That's a great way to do things. Okay, motions, minutes. Can we talk about the minutes?
Move to approve.
second.
Motion's made to approve the minutes and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Invoices.
Motion we pay the bill?
Second.
Motion's made to pay the bills and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Bills are paid. Hire Ashley Armstrong as a full-time dispatcher.
Chief, anything?
No, she recently moved back to her hometown of New Haven after working in Cena, Texas for the federal government for a number of years, and has a good background, so I think she'd fit in for the city of Herman.
I'll make a motion, we approve the recommendation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ashley is hired. Item D, picnic liquor license, Herman J.C.'s, Upper City Park, MyFest Beer Garden, May 18th through 20th, 2018. They've been doing this a long time, from what I understand.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Special event application, Chamber of Commerce, fireworks vendors and parade, Riverfront Park and the amphitheater, July 4th, 2018.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. I assume we have no boards and commissions represented. I don't see any. So we will then move to citizens' comments, and we have one, do we not? I have a card. Brant Wilkins, 123 East 3rd Street, wishes to address Alderman Fairbur's comments about the city's lawsuit. These are comments now.
Sure. Thank you.
You have 3 minutes, Brant.
Mr. Farber, 1 month ago, you stated that the lawsuit against my company, the Captain Wolt Inn, company that creates jobs, pays about $40,000 in sales and lodging tax, was not a personal vendetta of our mayor, Robert Korber, and was not a waste of time and money. With all due respect, sir, I'd have to disagree. It's a complete waste of time and money. I have to remind you that I'm the only one paying for this out of my own pocket. This suit has cost my business quite a bit of money, and the mayor continues to waste taxpayers' money on it. I will remind you that the Herman Police Department has stated there has never been a noise violation at the Captain Wolt Inn. Never. Not once. And until the mayor complained, there had never even been a complaint. Not once. Not one. At this point, the mayor and I have both been deposed. It was he who has backed down off of his original affidavit. It's public record. You can read it for yourself. The city has also learned that my business is not even operating the way the mayor said that we were. Again, that's public record. But yet this suit continues. Last week I sat through 3 hours of court-ordered mediation. In that time, I believe the mayor was told that the city's case was not very strong. I also know that the only sticking point was the mayor arguing for the removal of lights adjacent to his property. How much are we going to spend? If spending what could approach $20,000, $25,000 to remove a few strands of lights along the mayor's property isn't a waste of time and money, I don't know what is. I ask you, Mr. Farber, actually I beg all of the aldermen, please do your homework. Read the mayor's original affidavit. Go through and read his testimony during his deposition. It's all public record. Then ask our city attorney what the mediator said to our mayor. Ask him what the law does and does not allow. If you will do that, you will understand why I am continuing this fight, and you will come to the same conclusion that we have, that this suit is a personal vendetta of our mayor, Robert Korber, that is being paid for by the taxpayers of Hermann, Missouri.
15 seconds.
You can stop this suit. If you don't, when it all becomes public and we go to trial, you'll look as silly as he does.
Do you have any comment?
There was nothing there to comment on.
Well, I have a couple things. First of all, you talk about wasting taxpayers' money, and I noticed that until this mitigation thing that we went through, you hadn't paid your taxes at all. So it's certainly not your money, because you hadn't paid your taxes and you didn't have a business license. And that's not the first time that's happened. As far as the rest of it goes, we had an agreement. All 7 points were agreed to, and you had agreed to it. And the mediator went to write things down, and you picked one and said, I'm not going to agree to that.
No,
So
sir,
that's- yeah.
because I told you when we agreed the last time.
Mr. Wilkins, you can have disruption.
That is true, and it's not the first time that's happened. It's happened before. So this is not a situation, Mr. Wilkins, where it's so cut and dry. And the lights were not strictly along my property line. These lights you said you needed for lighting the alley because it was dangerous, and they also extend up the side of the Winchester, and that is not no. No, you had your chance at public comments. Now answer.
No, I will get. I don't get to respond to him. No.
And that's no, Brant. That's not how it works. You know how it works. You say things, then I get to respond, or just anybody up here.
So I'm limited to 3 minutes, and I can't respond to you directing comments to me?
I'm answering your comments.
They were comments, they weren't questions.
You've had 3 minutes, we can't have disruption, I believe.
Okay.
Mayor, say what he has to do and we'll be done.
Okay, this can be satisfied by getting back with your attorney and agreeing with we can work this out. We had agreement, except for what happened with you.
No, sir, we never.
Okay.
You reneged on our agreement.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wilkins, and we appreciate the opportunity for the city to explain some of this to you. I will go on the record and say you have now paid your taxes effective last week, and you have a business license, which I signed immediately.
And I'll go on record saying, let's debate this in a public forum. If you're doing the right thing, why are you afraid to debate this?
Nobody would be afraid to debate with you.
Then let's set a date.
Okay. Let's move on. We have on the schedule a closed session. Should we move into that? We have no other comments. Do we? No? Okay.
Can I say something, Mr. Mayor?
You didn't sign the card, but...
Oh, I can't? That's
No,
right.
you're really not supposed... What is it about?
Transportation,
Well, we're going to do that next time.
but can I ask you to do a few things that I think are important?
I would suggest the way to do that, so we don't
That's
have this, is to put yourself on the agenda for the next meeting, and you'll have all the time necessary. If you want to cover certain things, well, we'd like to know about them, since you're the major transportation supplier to Herman. And we'll be happy to talk with you either before, during, or after the meeting, and make sure that, that we work any concerns, comments, or suggestions you have into it.
That'd be fine.
Can you leave something, if you want to leave it with us, we'll put you on the agenda for next time. Can we do that? Okay. We'll do that.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, closed session.
I'll make a motion. We go into closed session for the purpose of dealing with matters relating to legal actions, cause of action, litigation, or privileged communications between the city's representatives and its attorneys.
We have a motion made and seconded. Can we vote?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
We're in closed. Thank you very much.